Breaking tonight as the first refugees from Ukraine arrive in neighbouring Poland after the UN reports 100,000 people have fled their homes. It's critical that Western leaders act now to avoid a humanitarian disaster and return peace to Europe. Promising to see our political leaders stepping up to the plate. I mean, I don't usually have anything good to say about Keir Starmer. Neither does my guest tonight, former Tory Minister Anne Widdecombe. But the Labour leader wasted no time in joining Boris Johnson in verbally eviscerating Putin. A marked departure, of course, from the party's former leader, the Putin apologist Jeremy Corbyn, who has spent the last week claiming NATO is the aggressor, not Russia.
He seeks division, so we must stay united. He hopes for inaction, so we must take a stand. He believes that we're too corrupted to do the right thing, so we must prove him wrong. I believe we can, but only if we stand together.
Starmer pretending to be Prime Minister there, but it's of course Boris who will be making all the critical decisions. So what can the PM do to stop Putin? Anne Widdecombe has some suggestions. And great to see you. What do you think Boris Johnson should be doing here?
Well, first of all, I think military aid as opposed to boots on the ground is absolutely essential. And there should be a really concerted attempt on the part of, you might call it a Western alliance, because Ukraine isn't part of NATO, can't invoke Article 5. But there should be now a concerted international attempt to get military aid into Ukraine, even if we don't put boots on the ground. That's the first thing. The second thing is those sorts of opinion polls that show only a minority in favour of boots on the ground actually give aid and comfort to Putin. Just remember Adolf Hitler in 1939, who believed that because a few years earlier the Oxford Union had passed a motion saying this house would not fight for king or country, that there was a disinclination on the part of Britain to fight. We mustn't let that get across. But in the end, what can we do? Well, the only power we've really got is sanctions. And I also very rarely say anything in Keir Starmer's favour. But I thought he hit the nail on the head a couple of days ago when Boris announced this very impressive packet of sanctions. And Keir Starmer said, yes, but when? And that's what we've got to do. It's no good talking, or we've got to go into action. And we also have to accept that if we have very strict, rigidly policed sanctions against Russia, and I hope we do, but if that's what we're going to do, then it will also impact on us. We may not have boots on the ground, but don't get the idea that any Western nation is going to be unaffected by what's going on.
Well, and that's one of the reasons that people are so worried about this. And I think there's certainly a feeling out there in some quarters that perhaps the West has been unnecessarily provocative towards Putin. And you can understand, can't you, when we're facing a cost of living crisis, we're completely reliant on Russian energy. And we're talking about potential bills of £3,000 a year for a British household as a result of this conflict.
Well, the fact is there's more at stake than our fuel bills. And we really do have to grit our teeth and impose those sanctions. And Germany's had the guts to cancel its second pipeline, and it's very dependent on Russian gas. So I think we've all got to find our courage in this. And yes, of course, people will worry. Of course they will. You know, this is an international military situation. Of course they will worry. But can I just say there's one worry I don't think they need to have, and that's the nuclear worry. I think he retains enough rationality not to start unleashing nukes, because he knows that if he did that, the United States would fight back. Not worth it. That's Armageddon. Not worth it. Nobody benefits.
Anne Widdecombe, sage analysis as ever. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight.